Hi guys, I'm John and you're watching Birds of Cebu, a channel dedicated to aviculture, avian behaviorism, and avian companionship. Now we are at the fourth part of our six-part series of how to train a bird, and today we're going to be talking about a topic close to my heart, clicker training. So, what is clicker training? It's basically a tool, or a clicker rather, is a tool used by trainers to establish a fixed communication with a bird. That's how I see it. The clicker training is something that I didn't give so much of a value until a good friend of mine, Brad Feliciano, walked me through it. And I thought it was simple as, okay, I'm gonna click, I'm gonna give a treat, and that's it. The bird understands that it did something right. But with Brad and him sharing to me how to understand an animal's mind using clicker, it became more evident that I needed to use clicker training to bridge the gap of miscommunication that I've been having with my birds for a very long time. You see, the whole journey of bird training for me wasn't something that I learned overnight. It was a series of mistakes that I had to fix, and eventually things started to make sense when I started putting one and one together. With Iggy, I started learning that teaching tricks is quite easy because of clicker training. In fact, when I was teaching him big wings, I taught it's where I tell him to say big wings, and then he spreads his wings open. That is a trick that I taught with only one day, and it was only done in 3 or 4 repetitions before he was consistent with the cue big wings, and then he knows exactly what to do. So that's the magic of the clicker trainer. The clicker establishes communication with your bird. They know exactly what it means when you're about to, they know exactly what it means when there's a click. So if you're wondering what clicker you might want to consider, well, there are 2 kinds of clickers that I currently have, but there are several kinds of clickers all over the market. So one I have here is the one that Brad gave me, is a box clicker, which I like because it's quite loud. The second one I bought from a pet store here in Cebu. It has a thumb rest, and you can press using your thumb. That's how this clicker works. But what I actually use this clicker more than the box clicker because of this thumb rest. It's very useful when I'm trying to, oh my god, wait. It's very useful when I'm doing recall training with Iggy. So how that works is I have this on the palm, and my ring finger resting on the thumb rest, my middle finger holding the clicker button, and the treat in between my thumb and the next finger. So whenever I want, I can actually just do the clicking and the giving of the treat with one hand. So I like this kind of clicker because of that function. However, if you're going for sound, the more effective sound in my experience is the box clicker. So I just like to set some expectation settings here in this video. This is not a complete guide to clicker training, rather it's more introducing how clicker training has become important and how you can use it for your bird training experience. So if you're new to clicker training, what you want to know is clicker training is using the clicker as an indicator that a treat is going to come or a task has been completed. And in order to establish that communication, what you want to do is make sure that a treat comes right after the click. Be consistent with this. You want to make sure that there's no gap between when you click and give the treat. This is how it could go wrong. You notice that there's the gap between the click and when I give the treat. You don't want that to happen because you want the bird to understand that click means treat. And sometimes, even clicking without giving the treat, eventually the bird will understand that, hey, I did the task right, or what I did was desirable. Step up. Now, if your bird is new to clicker training and doesn't understand yet what the purpose of the clicker is, you want to start with establishing this idea with the bird. So it's as simple as, your whole training session could just be that, teaching the bird that a click means a treat. Are you done with that? So if you notice, what I was doing is I was taking a pause before I move on to the next treat. Some of the problems with trainers is that they're always in a hurry to get the whole training done, and they don't give the bird enough time to finish their treat before the next trick is requested. So make sure that the bird is ready prior to executing another command. Alright? Omega? So this is just establishing the idea of a clicking relating to the treat. And when that communication becomes more consistent, then you can proceed using that communication in your future trick trainings. Gentle reminder for people out there who are new to clicker training. A clicker, first and foremost, is not a tool to get the attention of the bird. The clicker is there so that the bird can understand that a treat is coming, not so that a bird will be drawn to you because a treat is coming. So for example, step up. What someone who is not experienced with clicker might do is if the bird does not respond to them and they get angry or they get frustrated, they start clicking around trying to get the attention of the bird. And I want to remind you that that's not helpful for the training process. You're using the clicker as an attention getting tool. It's no longer a tool for affirming proper action. So don't misuse the clicker. Remember that you have to be conservative when using the clicking, that it's exclusively for when a bird gets a treat. Step up. So the nice thing about the clicker as well is that when you've started to establish that communication between your bird and you, that clicker means reward or clicker also means training, your bird anticipates it. So for example, with Omega, before I started this video, he was just curious to play around, but when I started doing the clicker training, he knew that, hey, there are treats involved, I gotta get this task done, and he's now very excited. He's just always trying to come to me and try to do more and try to respond to whatever hand cues I have. So having a clicker and establishing clicker training builds a good relationship with your bird. And here are some final reminders with using the clicker. Always remember that the clicker tool is what it is, a tool. It is a communication tool for you. So make sure that you have to pair it up with a good treat. If you're associating the clicker with something as common as a food that they usually have on their food bowl, then it doesn't have as strong as a value that it should. Associate with something that they know is actually a good treat so that they regard the clicker sound with high value. The second thing is this. Always remember that clicker communication can go wrong when there is wrong timing. A large part of me practicing clicker training was getting the timing right. And I know it sounds like a little thing and it might not affect the training, but really, trust me, timing makes a big difference in establishing what you want the bird to understand or getting the bird to do the right trick. And the last thing is, I've mentioned this already earlier in the video, but I'd like to emphasize it. Don't use a clicker as a way to grab the bird's attention, because that is not what the clicker is for. The clicker is a tool of communication to tell the bird that, hey, you've done something right. So I hope you learned something about clicker training today. I encourage you to try to research more about clicker training, and if there's a class in your local area that teaches clicker training, even just for dogs, it helps a lot to learn from these trainers. I'm not a certified instructor in clicker training, so I can't give you that full course. What I'm just telling you right now is how important it is, and it has played a huge role in my training with my birds. And I look forward to seeing you guys again in our future episodes of Birds of Cebu. We've already covered 4 parts. We are now down to last 2 parts to complete the 6-part series of how to train a bird. Please do like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, and also share to your friends who are interested in bird training. Thank you again, and see you again next time, guys.